The flesh is everywhere. Bodies, bodies, and more bodies. Beautiful naked bodies, burning luscious lips, silicone breasts, sculpted noses, sculpted biceps, muscular hairy male chest. Bodies and more bodies. This is the landscape of the contemporary world. Social media, advertising, and the media in general, everywhere, the same propaganda is forced upon us. Easy sex and the total sexualization of reality. Everything is sex. Everything has been turned into a sexual product, from cooking to tourism, including the human being. We humans, once complex and profound creatures, have become marketable items. Day after day, we lose our human essence. How did this happen? How did we voluntarily reduce ourselves to objects that dream only of money, sex, and entertainment? Today, we are ready to sell not only our bodies, but our souls as well, in exchange for attention, status, and instant pleasure. Without even realizing it, we are killing the divine within ourselves and elevating to the status of cult values that work against our very existence. It is time to fasten your seatbelts, dear listeners, because a new episode of Quince Marmalade is about to begin. And today it's going to be hot, scorching even. It is time to talk about slut culture, about the objectification and dehumanization of the individual. The Quince represents wisdom, the Quince is truth, and Quince Marmalade offers us authentic taste of life without the fear of whatever bitterness might come our way. The masses of today are leading the world towards self-destruction. And one of the few ways to resist is to speak up, to name reality for exactly what it is. No, we will not remain silent, because every silence is a voluntary participation in the decay. So, make yourself comfortable, pour a glass of whiskey on the rocks, light a cigarette. Oh, I'm kidding. This is not Basic Instinct or 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm certainly not Sharon Stone. Let's start the episode. So, for decades now, a process of systematic dehumanization and objectification of the human being has been unfolding, embodied in what is known as slut culture. It is a culture in which people, regardless of gender, race, or religion, voluntarily turn themselves into soulless objects for sale and consumption. A culture without genuine values, without depth, without morality, without meaning. Slut culture describes a world without love and without shame. A world driven by insatiable hunger for pleasure and money. It preaches that you should have fun without thinking too much. Thinking is harmful. Feelings are harmful too. It elevates sex, money, drugs, alcohol, and the non-stop party lifestyle into object of worship. The media constantly promotes atheism and mocks faith, especially Christianity. Believing in God is now portrayed as something outdated and negative rather than something positive. Love, too, has been declared an illusion, a beautiful Disney fairy tale, something that does not truly exist. What matters is only one thing: to have fun, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And so, slowly but surely, the human being loses their inner spark and turns into a product. Usable, replaceable, sellable. When a person does not believe in God or in love, but believes only in money and sex, they become easy to control, easy to buy, easy to sell. And this is not theory, this is reality. Perhaps the people who, so to speak, rule the world, the individuals and organizations with the immense financial power, need the human mass to function as a product in order to be more easily controlled. Slut culture is a tool for subjugation of the masses and, of course, a highly profitable machine, isn't it? But you're probably asking yourself, what exactly is the objectification of the human being? Objectification is a process in which a person is perceived and treated as an object, a means, or a function, rather than as a complete human personality. The human being is reduced to a body appearance or utility. The inner world, feelings, thoughts, dignity is ignored. Their values depends on what they provide: pleasure, money, attention. A person is assessed primarily by how sexually attractive they are rather than as a thinking, feeling subject. Objectification turns the individual into a thing, something to be used, viewed, or consumed. And what is dehumanization? Dehumanization is a deeper and more dangerous process in which the very human dimension of a person is stripped away. A lack of empathy and moral responsibility towards them, they are no longer perceived as equal. Violence, humiliation, or exploitation is justified or normalized. The human being is reduced to instinct, resource, number, or content. A person is seen as a meat, market, or an algorithmic unit. Dehumanization makes it possible to cause harm without remorse. Objectification is often the first step towards dehumanization. In objectification, the human being becomes something. In dehumanization, the human being becomes less than a human. Not every act of objectification leads to dehumanization, but every dehumanization begins with objectification. Within the context of slut culture, the body becomes currency. Desire becomes a market product, the human being becomes a brand and content, dignity becomes a variable. This is not freedom, it is the reduction of the human being to a function. Objectification strips away human depth, dehumanization strips away humanity itself. Both destroy the very idea of personhood. But where has this led us? This culture of objectification and dehumanization surrounds us everywhere, in television, advertising, on social media, and in our everyday lives. I often find myself asking, is humanity truly evolving or merely degrading, hidden behind the technological glitter and modern slogans? I look around and see masses of people whose primary goal has been reduced to sex and parties, alcohol, drugs, cheap thrills, and instant pleasure. A life reduced to the weekend, to the body, to the next dose. In such a world, love disappears, depth disappears, meaning disappears. No one is searching for a genuine connection anymore. Those without partners trying to date know this better than anyone else. There, the result of the spread of slut culture is brutally clear. No one sees you as a person. You are a product. What do you have to offer? Pleasure, money, social status. Your soul does not interest anyone. They care about your salary, your car, how profitable you are. The person across from you is not a goal, but a means. It is not a date, it is a transaction. People no longer come together because they love one another. They come together because they don't want to be alone, because they need financial stability, help with the bills, convenience. Infidelity, open relationships, and emotional emptiness are marketed as progressiveness, when in reality they are a pathetic imitation of genuine intimacy. This is the logical outcome of a culture in which the human being has no inner value. At the same time, more and more people want money, but without work, without time, without effort. And very quickly they reach the conclusion that the easiest way is to sell themselves, their bodies, their image, their values, even their sexual organs. They voluntarily turn themselves into objects, but every object has an expiration date and the market knows no loyalty. Today, being a, sorry to say it, human slut is even considered a compliment. It is presented as prestige, as a form of freedom and emancipation. Being a cheap, easily usable product is now called a virtue. Yes, we have come this far. There are even movements marching under the banner of slut empowerment. If you dare to criticize the cult of endless sex, parties, and moral emptiness, you are quickly accused of slut shaming. The world increasingly resembles a brothel in which human personality is irrelevant. And when you lose the human within yourself, you do not merely suffer, you cease to exist fully. OnlyFans, for example, is the logical emancipation of slut culture. It is an emblematic example of the so-called slut empowerment, the monetization of bodies, and a form of digital prostitution that often goes hand in hand with physical one. People want money, and the fastest path to it is the sale of the self. Today, almost no one dreams of becoming a scientist, an explorer, or an astronaut. Everyone wants to start an OnlyFans account and become a content creator, a term that masks a simple truth: online prostitution. By displaying their bodies and sexual organs, these people aim to conquer the world, and often they succeed, becoming digital stars elevated by the followers of the slut culture. OnlyFans culture does not sell sexuality alone, it sells access to the person, their body, their attention, their identity. The pornification of culture is one of its defining features. Pornographic norms spill over into fashion, dating, social media, and the way people perceive themselves. This culture may create the illusion of empowerment, but it leaves emptiness behind. When the human being becomes a commodity, the price is always paid by the human being themselves. And what are the consequences of OnlyFans culture? Number 1. Fragmentation of identity. The person begins to see themselves through the consumer's gaze. Personality is reduced to a body, a fantasy, or a niche. Self-worth becomes dependent on subscriptions, likes, and income. The self turns into a product that must be constantly optimized. When you sell your image, you risk losing yourself. Number 2. Psychological exhaustion and anxiety. A culture of constant availability produces chronic stress, pressure to endlessly generate content, fear of losing relevance, constant comparison, burnout. The body is no longer a home, it becomes a workplace. Number 3. Erosion of boundaries and intimacy. Simulated closeness is required, performing desire and emotional connection. Intimacy ceases to be a meeting between people and becomes a tool. Number 4. Dehumanization. The consumer grows accustomed to perceiving the human being as content. Empathy erodes, aggressive and humiliating demands appear. There is constant pressure for increasingly extreme material. This affects both the creator and society as whole. Number 5. The illusion of free choice. It is presented as total autonomy, yet algorithms dictate visibility and the market decides which bodies are desirable. Freedom without real alternatives is conditional freedom. Number 6. Long-term social consequences. Content does not disappear, Digital memory is unforgiving. Stigmatization, social exclusion, difficulties with future employment and relationship, loss of control over one's personal image. Number 7. Alienation from one's own body. The body becomes an object of evaluation rather than lived experience. Dissociation, bodily anxiety, and emptiness after success emerge. This is a form of quiet violence against the self. What we call freedom today is often nothing more than a well-packaged form of self-destruction. Slut culture does not liberate the human being. It simplifies, empties, and turns them into a resource for consumption. When the body becomes currency and identity becomes a product, a person loses something far more valuable than reputation or money. They lose themselves. True freedom is not about being desired by everyone, but about being whole. It is not about access to the body, but access to meaning. And if we want to stop the degradation, we must first reclaim what matters most, the human within us. And there it is, my friends, the bitter taste of the truth. We live in a world that wants to convince you that your only values is your visibility, that your skin is currency and your soul is just an outdated concept slowing down the transaction. But remember, a product can be replaced, but a person is a mystery that can never be replicated. Don't let the glitter blind you to the fact that you are being sold. Don't let the noise drown out the divine spark that still flickers inside you, waiting to be rediscovered. Slut culture wants you loud, shallow, and available. I want you deep, silent, and whole. Choose wisely which version of freedom you are buying into, because at the end of the day, when the lights of the party go out and the screen turns black, you are the only one left in the room. Make sure you like the person you have become. This is Quince Marmalade. Stay bitter, stay true, and above all, stay human. The marmalade is ready. Golden, warm, imperfect, just like us. We already sealed one more jar full of delicious Quince marmalade. Thank you for being here, and thank you for steering these moments with me. If this episode touched your soul, please share it, make comments, and tell me what awakened in your heart. You can always visit my website anatolymalakov.com, where all my stories, transformational guidance, and new creation live. I'm Anatoly Malakov, and this is Quince Marmalade, a place where we turn life into art and the truth into sweetness. Until next time.